Free energy now.
Imagine a world in which each home has its own power generator that obtains its energy in such a way that no fuel has to be added. Imagine every vehicle being able to run without ever stopping for fuel. Imagine each appliance having its own power source that never has to be recharged. That is the world of the future. Join with us now as we track our progress towards such a world.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sterling Allen. You can join us online at freeenergyquest.com. We're joined today, June 19, 2014, by Chip Paul of Oklahomans for Help. Chip Paul has experimented with Joule Thief over Unity electromagnetic technology and is one of the co-founders of the New Energy Systems Trust, which holds a weekly meeting of which I'm a part. Recently, he mentioned a situation he's involved with in which he's trying to use the Oklahoma Constitution allowance for citizens to enact new law directly via petition. He's been using this process to try and legalize medical marijuana in Oklahoma and has been the recipient of unconstitutional bully tactics from police and others to hamper the initiative. But first, before we get into that, let's do our This Week in Free Energy recap. And by the way, for a listing of those recaps, you can go to thisweekinfreeenergy.com. First of all, heading this week's stories was an interview we did on this show a couple of days ago with my associate Welton Myers, who got me started in this stuff 12 years ago. He has been in touch with a guy named Freddie Wells, who has been, who I guess 3 or 4 years ago got us all excited about what's going on with, he had a truck that was running on water, he claimed. He was running at freeway speeds, and got a lot of people excited about that. It was a hydroxy technology. Well, my friend Welton Myers got in touch with Freddie, and Freddie is still alive. He's around and kicking and meeting with people and staying under the radar for the most part. And they were able to replicate to a large extent what Freddie had done. That particular technology runs very hot, and they burned up several engines with that particular approach. So what they're introducing right now in beta testing systems, they've installed this in 10 cars already, is a fuel assist technology that improves the mileage by more than twofold. And so we're talking about 100 to 180 times, or not times, but percent efficiency. So if you're getting 30 miles per gallon now, you could get 60 plus. 60, 70 mile per gallon with this technology. They're in the early stages. They're still doing their, tweaking and fine-tuning and polishing and whatnot. They're not ready to go into mass production, but they are looking for people to help install these things, to license out the technology for those purposes. And it was quite the interview. I really enjoyed talking to him. He told a story about years ago when they were working with a magnet motor they got spinning on its own and actually lifted off the bench. That's what he said. I wasn't there, but quite the story. In other news, also in hydroxy news actually, there was a story also 2 days ago in Euronews.com, which is probably, I'm just guessing, I don't know the European news aggregate of what kinds of papers and whatnot they have there in their circulation. But I'm guessing based on the professionalism of the website and whatnot, the appearance, that is probably similar to USA Today for Europe. And they ran a news about the Ultimate Cell, which is one of these hydroxy systems, which is a hydrogen hydroxy assist, where you use the Brown's gas to mix with the fuel to get an improvement in mileage. In their case, they're talking 30% improvement in mileage. And we've actually had a guy on the ground today who was able to meet with the team, got one installed on his car, and has an interesting report. I haven't had a chance to post that yet. That'll probably happen in the next few hours, but that was pretty cool. Yesterday's headline story, or yesterday's story, I should say, feature was a company named Alperen Group over in Turkey. Attila Alperen called me up and told me about a technology that is in the heart of what he does, which is called the Turksoder, which is a combination of a motor and generator. And he's told me in the past that this installed in a vehicle could enable the vehicle to run continuously without stopping for fuel. I know that's an over-the-top kind of claim, and we've been covering them off and on over the years, about 5 or 6 years, and none of his claims yet have really materialized as we would expect. And so this is another one you take with a grain of salt, but they claim they're going to be putting out a press release in about a week with photos and video of a brushless motor with electromagnet. Now, you're not supposed to be able to use an electromagnet in a motor without brushes to make the electrical contact. But they figured out a way to do this, which will basically end the need for permanent magnets. Right now, China has a 95% grip on the world permanent magnet market. These electromagnets, he says, are not actually electromagnets of the traditional sort. They're a variant of that. Would basically be the same strength as the permanent magnets in these motors that you see with permanent magnets, but are electrical. And so you have more control over when they fire, etc. So that would be huge, and that's a very large export from China, is their permanent magnets. They're not going to be too happy about that on the one hand. On the other hand, they will be happy to have yet another technology to help bring to market, and they are looking for people to license this technology and the rollout of the technology. Blacklight. Blacklight Power is a pretty cool company that claims to have a hydrino, which is a form of hydrogen, and in the process of this hydrino creation or release, you get huge amounts of energy. And they posted a cool promo video on their website. They've gotten some $50 million in funding, a lot of great scientists involved in their technology. It's eye candy. Just a little news tip there on it's not really a scientific development. Another company that goes by MIST, stands for Molecular Impact Steam Technology, has upgraded their website. Quote, it explains how and why 1/18 of a teaspoon of seawater containing up to 5 to 6% sea salt releases hydrogen on impact and burns or explodes. So basically, when you think of mist, it's basically by shooting water at a very high speed and then it hitting a surface, and you have this explosion and you get a lot of energy, you get steam. Pretty interesting technology, and could have a lot of overlaps with other technologies such as cold fusion. Magnecoaster has been very controversial. They've been claiming to be selling products for some 5 years, and there supposedly has been a trickle of release of those products on the order of 5 to 10 over the last year. We haven't had any photographic or other evidence that that's actually taken place, but the news this week was that they are relocating to a new facility so they can finally start production. And imagine they're very busy training their new line of assembly workers. And that's the claim, that's the story. There was a new feature film about Nikola Tesla being created, and there's a crowdfunding campaign for that. Quote, the film will be largely based on historical events and facts, but to enhance its entertainment value, nearly 30% will be fictionalized with alternative but plausible events, unquote. Cold fusion in biology? it was concluded that elemental transmutations were indeed occurring in life organisms and were probably accompanied by net energy gain, is a quotation from that story. Pretty interesting. Neo-free energy is a scam by Photoshop. They took a UPS battery package image off the internet, photoshopped their logo on top of it, and claimed that it was a free energy device, and we're trying to collect a few $100s for each one. We blew that one wide open and have a page about that. Speaking of busting, Bob Pochin, who was in the news 3-4 years ago, giving Bob Boyce a hard time, implanted a Vera chip in his shoulder that actually, without his permission or knowledge, put him asleep with a beverage that he gave him, implanted a Vera chip in his shoulder, and it caused a tumor. The tumor and the chip were documented by physicians. We posted all that evidence on our website. He's now in jail. He was in the news in Florida a couple days ago, beating up on his wife in a car. 2 good Samaritans came by to her rescue. He pulled a gun on them, pursued them into a building, breaking the glass door, threatening to shoot them. Finally, he left and turned himself in. So he's out of circulation. And speaking of out of circulation, more news on Michael Spitzauer of Green Power Inc. is set to be arraigned on new charges. Federal prosecutors recently amended the indictment against Spitzauer to add bank fraud, filing a false tax return, and additional instances of wire fraud. Green Power Inc. is filing for bankruptcy to sell their plant. Interesting story there. He was denied bail yesterday. The total area of solar panels it would take to power the world. You wouldn't believe how small it is, actually. There's an image of the African area, and they have a little square showing how much real estate it would take to have solar panels provide the world power supply needs. And it's quite interesting to look at that. And finally, before we get to our guests, just have a scripted mainstream news link, some humorous YouTube videos showing one after another these different news anchors saying the same thing with their different flavor. It's pretty cute and revealing. Well, with that, let's get to our featured guest, which is outside the topic of free energy today, though he is a free energy connoisseur and friend and associate. Our show on Tuesday was kind of a free energy show, so we're kind of swapping gears this week. Usually the Tuesday show is outside the box, everything, whereas Thursday we focus in on free energy. Chip Paul, again, is with Oklahomans for Health, and he's got quite the story to tell, both about the benefits of medical marijuana as well as hemp, and some of the problems they've had trying to make this legal in Oklahoma. Chip, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Sterling, and we really appreciate you having us on today, and appreciate you giving us a vehicle to get out some of the things that are going on here in Oklahoma. We think it's pretty important that at least every U.S. citizen should be aware of kind of what we've got going on here.
Yeah. Well, what do you have going on there?
Well, let me kind of give you a little background first. So, I am the chairman of an organization called Oklahomans for Health, and our organization is the organization that has put forth a medical marijuana petition in Oklahoma. And basically what that means, we put forth a petition, is that Oklahoma allows for there's 2 ways to make a law in Oklahoma. One way is to go through your traditional legislature, have it pass both houses of the legislature, and then the governor signs it into law. Our Constitution allows a people's way to make a law, and that is you have to petition, with your language of your law. And there's a very formal process that you go through. So you have a 90-day signature window, and it's a pretty high burden of signatures, so we have to garner about 160,000 signatures statewide. But we're within a very limited window, of when we can basically collect those signatures. So it's a very important thing for us to have the ability to petition and, be able to do that freely within that 90-day window. So what we've have had going on is it's been about 2 weeks ago. There was a rally with our governor, and as part of that rally, there's a family that we've kind of been interacting with. It's a sad story, but also at the same time a very heartwarming story. But they have a little girl who's a year and a half old, and she suffers from a syndrome called Dravet's, and it's very treatable with CBD oil, medical marijuana. However, under traditional medications, it's not very treatable. It's the child still suffers horribly even under traditional medication. So anyway, this family has been part of our effort, and they were wanting to try to talk to the governor when she was out at this public rally, and so we went out with them to support them in that effort. And, we're kind of run off of that rally because we were trying to get attention. We were, loud and all that. Which is fine and kind of understandable. You kind of get that, you're being a little bit loud or unruly and, police run you off. That's fine, even though that we were well within our rights and on public property. Well, starting last week, within the city of Tulsa, we have mobile petition sites, and these petition sites will go out every day, and we advertise where they'll be on social media, and they're available for people to drive up, and sign the petition. We started having these sites shut down, and on last week we had sites shut down on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so every day but Tuesday. And law enforcement would roll up on these sites basically on some pretext, tell us, we needed a permit, which we know we don't, and basically get us to move, get us to leave. If we would push back at all, the situation would escalate, and, we have video of, some of this escalation that would happen. But one way or the other, about last week, about Thursday, it occurred to me, and it became apparent to, I think, everybody in our organization that this was not being done. These were not random incidents. They were, there was too much in common with each incident to call them random. And so we called in the ACLU last Friday, and told them what was going on, and they're deeply concerned and deeply involved with kind of what we're continuing to do. But they kind of, and I think this is responsible. We did not and do not want to do anything at all that would unduly damage police department or a city organization or a state organization. But we certainly had enough evidence last Friday to file a federal lawsuit against the city of Tulsa. We decided to take kind of a responsible course of action, and we both wrote letters to the city, outlining an action plan, basically, that we needed to have happen by this Friday at 5 o'clock. If that action plan isn't followed, we will be exploring our options along the federal lawsuit, federal injunction. But the truly troubling thing that began happening this week is that this was a localized thing to Tulsa, which is one of the major cities in Oklahoma. Now, yesterday we had 2 incidents in Oklahoma City with the same behavior, and another incident in like a suburb of Tulsa with the same behavior. So, it's kind of bad on three levels. You know, one is it impacts our operations, and it's a hassle, and it's, you know, we've got to move a petition site, and it's just an operational issue that, you know, we've already got hundreds of those to deal with and that we don't need to deal with. You know, the second and far, you know, larger issue is that we have the right to petition. That right is guaranteed to us under the Constitution. That right is as sacred as your right to vote, and that right should be being protected by law enforcement officials and not violated by law enforcement officials. And we recognize by our very nature, we're a medical marijuana petition, we're petitioning for something that's currently illegal. We recognize that it's a controversial thing. And we've conducted our campaign in a very respectful and lawful manner, with, you know, understanding that it's controversial and just trying to be respectful about how we go about things. And, you know, our civil rights are being violated, and that's a horrendous thing. And then the third issue is we're in a 90-day due process window. You know, the Tulsa Police Department, Oklahoma City Police Department, you know, other law enforcement officials who've disrupted our petition sites have taken some of our time away. You know, so now it's not 90 days we have, it's whatever, 89. It's not 90. So, you know, that's another issue that, you know, we're trying to figure out how to deal with.
Have you had any luck getting attention of local media to give coverage to this?
Yeah, our local Fox affiliate has been covering it, we feel like pretty fairly and accurately. But the fact that it sort of became a statewide event, and I'm saying our local Tulsa Fox affiliate has been covering it, but the fact that it became a state event, really yesterday, you know, I think, you know, the national media really needs to, you know, it would help us tremendously to have some media attention. It would protect our rights to have media attention.
Well, let's pick this up when we come back from break. Thank you.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times. Scientists in England have succeeded in stabilizing the time-honored substance in garlic that destroys harmful bacteria, viruses, molds, yeast, and fungus. This all-natural microbe killer is called Allicin C, and it's now available to you in 100% vegetarian capsules only on the New Earth page at Rense.com. This powerful broad-spectrum antimicrobial agent is harmless to friendly bacteria and has been concentrated to equal an astonishing 35 cloves of garlic in each vegetarian capsule. Think about it. The antibacterial, antiviral strength of 35 odorless cloves of garlic in just one capsule. Allicin C is so effective it even destroys superbug MRSA in test after test. Allicin C is truly an incredible advance in natural medicine, and with the threats of bacterial and viral diseases and pandemics growing, no home should be without it. Learn more and order Allicin C on the New Earth page at Rense.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Rentz. Royal Raymond Rife was without question the most gifted medical scientific genius of our age. He discovered that most disease-related microbes die quickly when exposed to their own specialized resonant radio frequencies. The BCX411 Rife-type frequency instrument has received the highest praise on several continents for its precision, simplicity of operation, and successful research experiment. The BCX, with its comprehensive manual, allows you to select the frequencies you wish to experiment with for the length of time you want to run them. The BCX handheld plasma ray tubes and RF radio carrier wave, like Rife used, are the absolute state-of-the-art in Rife frequency research. For full information and pictures, take the New Earth link at the top of Rents.com. Settle for nothing but the best in Rife research with the BCX411. Again, just take the New Earth link at the top left corner of Rents.com.
Free energy, now!
Welcome back to the show. We're talking with Chip Paul of Oklahomans for Health. He's also a friend in the Free Energy Circle. He's one of my associates in the New Energy Systems Trust. He's been an activist in this whole trying to legalize medical marijuana in Oklahoma, and he's getting some obstruction of the legal constitutional process for petitioning to make a new law for the citizens to be able to create a new law, which is allowed in the Constitution, and the police and whatnot are getting in their way. A question I'd like to ask you, Chip, is what are the ramifications? I mean, these guys, what they're doing, from what I understand, is illegal, unconstitutional, and arguably even criminal, and should have consequences. What are the legal remedies and consequences involved? Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that we would, look at doing would be, filing. We ideally would just like the problem to be fixed. That's what we want. That's what we're after. And that's why we think, a little media attention, will help. But our legal recourse is to file a federal injunction and federal lawsuit, against the authorities that have violated, our civil rights. At that point, we would be issued, a federal injunction that we would have, a stay order where they could not do that anymore. And if they did, there would be much more advanced consequences, for their actions. There's always, I guess, damages and things like that you can pursue. We're not interested in really any of that. We're just interested in, getting the behavior to stop. And, we're really, an apology letter or a change in policy or action. If this is a policy problem, that we need some kind of remedy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a financial remedy. That's really not what we would like. We just want the behavior stopped.
Is it possible that the culprits who were involved in this obstruction could serve jail time?
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, if it's so, we're not ruling out that there's some policy that's incorrect or some just simple mistake that's happened, across kind of statewide law enforcement. That certainly could be the case, and we just want that fixed, However, I mean, it certainly looks like all these police officers kind of say the same thing when they roll up on our scene. And it would indicate the fact that they all say the same thing, that, there's been some memo or something, indicating that somebody can't petition for these reasons or something. And that would indicate a higher authority, which is not good at all.
And so some heads should roll when it's discovered who was involved in that memo. Yeah.
I would think so. I mean, it's it's such a violation of civil rights to not, it's analogous to putting police in front of your, polling place and not allowing you to vote. I mean, it's the same, sort of restriction, same
or
kind
like
of
over
violation.
in Iraq, where they're cutting people's fingers off for voting. It's not that bad, but it's getting close.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just, we were founded on our First Amendment rights, and those are sacred things that we should all, stand up and scream about when they're violated.
Well, I would think that to a certain extent you would be grateful for this onerous behavior because it actually gives a lot of reason for additional attention and coverage, which can help your cause.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true too. Yeah, I mean we really don't, that is not our intention, is to gain that kind of attention, but it's certainly, I think that could be an ancillary benefit of attention, certainly. Our campaign is running very well anyway. We don't really, we don't need a big shot in the arm from any national media or anything like that. We are ahead of our model, that we should be on as far as how many signatures we've gotten so far and all that.
Well, but
so
maybe you can use this to leapfrog this into a national attention thing so that you can bring the medical marijuana and its benefits to the attention that, here's yet another case of good people arguing for a good cause and being obstructed by a corrupt political apparatchik. And this helps wake people up and get them to think outside the box. So I think it's a very good thing. And I would really encourage you to, kind of milk this for that purpose of bringing some national attention to this issue, along with helping to accomplish your local objective. Yeah, no, and I think we certainly will. And if you just think about Oklahoma, the kind of things that we hear around the state all the time when you talk about medical marijuana or the marijuana business or what's happening in Colorado, which is kind of catty corner to us. People always say Oklahoma will be last. Oklahoma, we'll be the last one to have that. We'll be the last one to do that. And it's kind of a disappointing commentary, on our state to me. And one of the reasons why we kind of launched this effort, was that, we did some polling. We felt like, 70% of Oklahomans supported, a medical marijuana program. And we kind of wanted to just let everybody know, that we're not the most backward state in the world. We certainly, can think progressively and we kind of wanted to use it as a platform to boost the image of our state. But regrettably, here we are, a very controversial issue within the state and law enforcement, to me, the way that I kind of view the world, and this is probably naive, but they should be out protecting us. They should be out guaranteeing our civil rights. They should be the one championing our right to petition, but that's, regrettably, it doesn't work that way. And it's kind of a sad commentary. Well, as David Icke says, everything's upside down. Those who are supposed to be our health practitioners are pushing poisons and etc. The law enforcement are actually enforcing awful things and letting good things, suppressing good things. They're doing the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and just, the whole, and I'm in, Sterling, we personally know each other, and I deeply admire you, your work in free energy. I mean, you have broken down so many barriers and done so much great work, and I want to say how much I admire you. But this is an effort that needs to happen, and it needs to happen really everywhere. And I was kind of ignorant, I would say, about marijuana when we kind of started this whole effort, and this was 6 months ago. But I think anyone who would study, the recent advances in medical marijuana would just be shocked at the value and benefit of this as a medicine to so many different ailments. Where traditional medication is just horrible, this is just a godsend.
Let's get into that when we come back from break. What are some of the benefits? Give us kind of a shopping list, as well as let's get into hemp a little bit as, a material.
Whether your alleged government has told you or not, America has been receiving nearly nonstop airborne radiation in one form or another from Fukushima for 3 years in March. And now, with the radioactive polluted mass of the Pacific Ocean about to hit the entire West Coast, you must prepare yourself. The tragedy of Chernobyl resulted in the development of one of the most potent fighters of radiation poisoning known. It's called BioAge Superfood, a blend of the 4 most powerful immune-building, radiation-protecting, Chernobyl-proven algae on the planet. Grown in Kamchatka and imported to the U.S., I have taken BioAge Superfood for nearly 3 years and would never be without it. Go to bioage.com, mention rents, and get 10% off this essential immune-building product. That's bioage.com, and mention rents for a 10% discount. bioage.com.
When you think of getting old, what comes to your mind? Spending the last years of your life in a nursing home? Staring out a window? Medicated to keep you docile? Not able to recognize your own kids? Suffering with some dreaded disease until you die all alone? Well, think again. One of the premier doctors in the world, Dr. James Forsythe, wrote the book Anti-Aging Cures: Life-Changing Secrets to Reverse the Effects of Aging, your key to the real fountain of youth. And Suzanne Summers, the perpetual face of eternal youth, wrote the foreword. As mentioned in the book, Royal Velvet is the most cost-effective, easiest, and complete way to reverse the effects of aging. It's true. So, do you want glowing skin, less wrinkles, thicker hair, less gray hair, your hormones balanced, improved memory, a toned physique, greater energy, less pain and stiffness, as well as benefits too numerous to name? Go to RoyalVelvetNow.com. Click on the rinse icon in the upper right-hand corner, and within a couple of days, you can be on the path to youthful living. RoyalVelvetNow.com. Your life will never be the same.
Hi, this is Richard Ostro, owner for Carnivora Research International. I will be hosting a webcast to occur on Wednesday, June 25th at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be a question and answer session for questions we can answer legally in the United States. Tune in to www.carnivora.com to view the video that we will upload at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time entitled, Can Immune Modulation Heal the Body?, presented by Dr. Robert Rowan, M.D. Then join our free U.S. and Canadian webcast by calling 1-888-694-9666. That's 1-888-694-9666. Visit us at carnivora.com or dial 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Protect yourself and your family during these challenging times. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY today.
Free energy, now!
Welcome back to the show. We're talking today with Chip Paul from Oklahomans for Health, and been talking about some of the problems he's been having trying to use a constitutional remedy in Oklahoma for filing a new law via petition, and how they've been hampered by the police and others. But we've covered all that. Now in this last segment, we want to talk about some of the benefits of medical marijuana as well as hemp. So kind of take it away there, Chip, and just fill us in on what is so good about medical marijuana.
Sure. I think, the most dramatic and probably, beneficial story I can tell about the benefits of medicinal marijuana are this family that we've been associated with, and I'll talk about some of the other things that it's helpful for in a second, but this sort of I think typifies the advancements in science, but also demonstrates the value of it as a medicine. So this family has a little girl. She's a year and a half old. Her name is Jackie Warrior. And Jackie suffers from a syndrome called Dravet's, and Dravet's is it's a form of epilepsy and results in seizures. And so Jackie, at 1.5 years old, unmedicated with absolutely no medication, will have many seizures every day, like 100 seizures every day. On traditional medication, that number is reduced, but it's still many seizures a day, like 30 a day. But she's listless, she's not herself, she sleeps a lot, she's just medicated and drugged the entire time. They have tried treating her with CBD oils, and CBD oils are a derivative of the marijuana plant. They're called, and what they do is they extract cannabinoids, and they call them CBDs, and they create an oil. With this CBD oil, she has less than 1 seizure a day. So it just dramatically illustrates, and additionally, she's herself. I mean, she's, her happy little Jackie Warrior self. So it demonstrates dramatically the differences between, no medication, traditional medication, and, marijuana as a medicine in this particular case. And it's not even the full marijuana plant. It's just an extraction of the CBD oils. And for really any seizure patient, there is a dramatic treatment benefit from treating their seizures with medical marijuana.
So is it conceivable that if you were able to legalize medicinal marijuana in your state, that she would have access to a higher quality of the compound that's helping her so that she has no seizures?
Oh, absolutely. She cannot. So right now, here's the dilemma that the family has right now. If they treat her with CBD oils, they're committing a felony. The state government, the child welfare services, can come in and take their child away for treating her with CBD oil in Oklahoma right now. It's just a horrible situation that they're faced with. So do they stay in the state, watch her suffer, have 30 seizures a day, and try to treat her under traditional means? Or do they move to Colorado, which is a neighboring state where CBD oil is fully legal, and treat her with CBD oil? So that's the decision that they've had to make. And so the husband stays here in Oklahoma. He works, and the wife travels with Jackie to Colorado to treat her. But that when they come back to Oklahoma, they can't treat her that way, and she goes back to 30 seizures a day. And they're back in Oklahoma because she was trying to, talk to the governor about the importance of this medical marijuana program in Oklahoma.
So that's a great poster child story. That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and then, just the benefits to cancer patients. I mean, if you, and I had a home care company in Tulsa for a long time, and we had the privilege of taking care of a lot of really neat people, but consequence of that company is you get to see a lot of people die, and saw many people, die of cancer. And when you really get to the nitty-gritty details of the way that people suffer and die with cancer, it's a horrible thing. And the kind of drugs that they give them completely knock them out. I mean, mom is not mom, when she's taking these very powerful opiates and, addictive, highly, very strong painkillers. However, someone that's being treated, with marijuana, again, a cancer patient, and a totally different treatment than a totally different strain, a totally different, set of parts of the marijuana plant would be used to treat a cancer patient. But when they're being treated for cancer, that patient mom is still mom. I mean, she still has cancer and she's still going to die, but she's still mom, and she eats, and she's happy, and she laughs, and she's still in pain, but she's not in, she's just herself. It's just, there's a dramatic difference in the quality of life kind of at the end of life for someone being treated with and without.
So it doesn't necessarily heal the cancer; it just makes the cancer more bearable.
Yeah. And
what are some of the other benefits of medical marijuana? What is applications medicinally?
Well, any patient with neurological disorders can really benefit from medicinal marijuana. So, MS, Parkinson's, it has a very positive effect on the negative consequences of those diseases. In addition, I mean, it's a better pain medication than, your traditional kind of prescription medications that get prescribed all the time. So your Oxycontin and Loratabs and things like that. It's a far better pain medication than those, and it's not addictive. It's 100% not addictive. That's been proven again and again and again and again. You also mentioned hemp. And hemp is
Before we get into that, I want to really quick drive something home. If I understand right, weren't you the owner of that, senior living center?
Yeah, I had a home care company in Tulsa for 7.5 years that I ran there in the Tulsa area.
I wanted to bring that out because you know what you're talking about when it comes to human suffering and dying. This is not something that that is remote to your understanding.
Oh, so no, and it's literally, I have sat in the room with many, many, many people. It's a personal experience. So
let's talk about hemp.
Hemp is a very interesting thing. So I'm by no means a hemp expert and don't pretend to be. However, the biggest difference, I think, and that most people don't recognize between hemp and marijuana, which hemp is sort of it's kind of a less powerful cousin, I guess. Hemp really contains absolutely no psychoactive, ability or organics or whatever. You could smoke an acre of hemp and not get any psychoactive effect from that, meaning you would not get high. So hemp is not something that's grown for your traditional pot smoker or anything like that. Hemp is an industrial, extremely beneficial plant. Hemp is used in rope. Hemp is used in sails. Hemp is used in paper. Hemp is used in a ton of different things.
Wasn't the Constitution written on hemp?
Yes, actually the draft of the Constitution was written on hemp. I believe the actual Constitution is written on parchment, but the draft was 100% for sure written on hemp. And it's interesting too, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, we used to be the second largest producer of rope in the nation because we had such a huge just natural hemp crop. And that was all, shut down around, I think somewhere around World War I or whenever they did the kind of hemp prohibition. But, that was all shut down within Oklahoma and all the hemp was destroyed. So there's no natural hemp anymore. But it has many, many, beneficial, just industrial, kind of applications. It's also good biofuel, believe it or not. It's pretty amazing. And I don't want to, sound like an old ex-hippie or something with all my, extolling of the virtues of the hemp plant, but it's very beneficial.
Yeah, it grows really fast and efficiently so that the amount of water and fertilizers and whatnot required to grow it, from what I remember, hemp is one of the best, most indicated sources for biofuel, biomass kinds of applications.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And believe me, the farmers in Oklahoma, which they would be able to grow hemp under our medicinal law, they would have to get a license to do that, but they would have the ability to basically grow, an unlimited amount of hemp if they were licensed. they know the value of that, and they also know that I think hemp right now, I think that it's $300 an acre profit, for every acre of hemp that you grow, and so farmers fully recognize the value and benefit of that and the need for that.
Yeah.
We're the only developed country in the world that does not allow hemp to be grown.
What is behind that? Why is that?
That's a good question. You just hate to go to the conspiracy place, or I do. I mean, I always try to find rational, answers for things. But the plant itself is so incredibly, beneficial. I mean, you can use every part of it. It's a great medicine. It's used in all these kind of industrial applications. It replaces,
we're actually
so many
running
current
short on
products.
time. I apologize. I'm not hearing the music, so we're going to have to cut this short. But they can go to Oklahomans for Help, OklahomansForHealth.com.
Yes, sir.
You've been listening to Free Energy Now, brought to you by PES, Pure Energy Systems. You may access past archives and upcoming show info at freeenergynow.net and join us for our daily news at freeenergynews.com. We invite you to see our directory of energy technologies at peswiki.com. That's PESWIKI.com. PES, the Pure Energy Systems Information Network.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times. You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.
Which is a combination of a motor and generator. And he's told me in the past that this installed in a vehicle could enable the vehicle to run continuously without stopping for fuel. I know that's an over-the-top kind of claim, and we've been covering them off and on over the years, about 5 or 6 years, and none of his claims yet have really materialized as we would expect. And so this is another one you take with a grain of salt, but they claim they're going to be putting out a press release in about a week with photos and video of a brushless motor with electromagnet. Now, you're not supposed to be able to use an electromagnet in a motor without brushes to make the electrical contact. But they figured out a way to do this which will basically end the need for permanent magnets. Right now, China has a 95% grip on the world permanent magnet market. These electromagnets, he says, are not actually electromagnets of the traditional sort. They're a variant of that. Would basically be the same strength as the permanent magnets in these motors that you see with permanent magnets, but are electrical. That particular technology runs very hot, and they burned up several engines with that particular approach. So what they're introducing right now in beta testing systems, they've installed this in 10 cars already, is a fuel assist technology that improves the mileage by more than twofold. And so we're talking about 100 to 180 times, or not times, but percent efficiency. So if you're getting 30 miles per gallon now, you could get 60 plus 60, 70 mile per gallon with this technology. They're in the early stages. They're still doing their, tweaking and fine-tuning and polishing and whatnot. They're not ready to go into mass production, but they are looking for people to help install these things, to license out the technology for those purposes. And it was quite the interview. I really enjoyed talking to him. He told a story about years ago when they were working with a magnet motor that got spinning on its own and actually lifted off the bench. That's what he said. I wasn't there, but quite the story. In other news, also in hydroxy news, actually.
Free energy now.
Imagine a world in which each home has its own power generator that obtains its energy in such a way that no fuel has to be added. Imagine every vehicle being able to run without ever stopping for fuel. Imagine each appliance having its own power source that never has to be recharged. That is the world of the future. Join with us now as we track our progress towards such a world.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sterling Allen. You can join us online at freeenergyquest.com. We're joined today, June 19, 2014, by Chip Paul of Oklahomans for Help. Chip Paul has experimented with Joule Thief over Unity electromagnetic technology and is one of the co-founders of the New Energy Systems Trust, which holds a weekly meeting of which I'm a part. Recently, he mentioned a situation he's involved with in which he's trying to use the Oklahoma Constitution allowance for citizens to enact new law directly via petition. He's been using this process to try and legalize medical marijuana in Oklahoma and has been the recipient of unconstitutional bully tactics from police and others to hamper the initiative. But first, before we get into that, let's do our This Week in Free Energy recap. And by the way, for a listing of those recaps, you can go to thisweekinfreeenergy.com. First of all, heading this week's stories was an interview we did on this show a couple of days ago with my associate Welton Myers, who got me started in this stuff 12 years ago. He has been in touch with a guy named Freddie Wells, who has been, who I guess 3 or 4 years ago got us all excited about what's going on with, he had a truck that was running on water, he claimed. He was running at freeway speeds, and got a lot of people excited about that. It was a hydroxy technology. Well, my friend Welton Myers got in touch with Freddie, and Freddie is still alive. He's around and kicking and meeting with people and staying under the radar for the most part. And they were able to replicate to a large extent what Freddie had done. There was a story also 2 days ago in Euronews.com, which is probably, I'm just guessing, I don't know the European news, aggregate of what kinds of papers and whatnot they have there in their circulation. But I'm guessing, based on the professionalism of the website and whatnot, the appearance, that it's probably similar to USA Today for Europe. And they ran a news about the ultimate cell, which is one of these hydroxy systems, which is a hydrogen hydroxy assist, where you use the Brown's gas to mix with the fuel to get an improvement in mileage. In their case, they're talking 30% improvement in mileage. And we've actually had a guy on the ground today who was able to meet with the team, got one installed on his car, and has an interesting report. I haven't had a chance to post that yet. That'll probably happen in the next few hours. But that was pretty cool. Yesterday's headline story, or yesterday's story, I should say, feature was a company named Alperen Group over in Turkey. Attila Alperen called me up and told me about a technology that is in the heart of what he does, which is called the Turk Soder.